Welcome to Storytime. In this series, I share my experiences with a church that was actually a cult practicing witchcraft on its own members. This is going to be an intro. So, in the spring of '86, I joined a campus fellowship that was unlike any other I'd ever attended. I still remember that very first study that I was invited to. It was in a campus study hall. There were about 8 students present. Some I knew, some I didn't know, and this couple from New Jersey that I definitely did not know. But what stood out to me was their appearance. They were maybe 10 to 15 years older than us, and their appearance was clean, neat, modern, updated, and they smelled good. I grew up watching church folk that believed that poverty was next to godliness, so this was refreshing. And they spoke plain English when they spoke, not the King's English, but plain English. So I walked in, they were talking about relationships, and the question on the floor was, can a believer and a non-believer date or get married? They went around the room and we unanimously answered no. Then they asked why. And said we referenced the scripture about not being unequally yoked with unbelievers. And they agreed, and then they gave us a real life example of a sister who was married to someone who wasn't saved, and how when they got into some kind of disagreement, this person ended up trying to choke her out, and it was the prayers of the saints that saved her. Next, they asked if 2 believers could date or marry, and then the answers got mixed. I said yes because I knew already who I wanted to marry, and they were saved. But the answer, they said, was not necessarily, because they said you can be unequally yoked while being saved. And they gave the real example of 2 from their church who wanted to marry, and they felt sure God was ordaining it. And they were asked repeatedly, and they said yes, they believed it was His will. So they married, but then the wife spiritually surpassed the husband, and it caused trouble in the relationship. So at this point, I've heard all this, and I said within myself, this is it. And I became a part of this church. I'd spent Christmas break alone, asking God to save me, asking Him where His people were. And I just met people who ministered the word in simplicity and truth, who spoke with wisdom and common sense, not just quoting scriptures. It was beautiful. If only this goodness lasted forever. Tune in for story time.